anyway.
Okay, we apologize for being late due to computer problems beyond our control. I mean, shit happens, you know. The camera's not working, but you guys don't know what I look like anyway. So welcome to the Lock and Load show. I'm glad we made it. It was in doubt there for some time, but through the magic of the internet, we can transmit across the interwebs, simulcast on gun channels, and across the universe. I had a lot of things to talk about as far as the Threatdown today. So, covering the news in not the order that you would expect. Okay, the first news of the day is the Big Island police cannot shoot straight. I need to put this story up for you guys. So there's a fugitive on the loose on the Big Island here, and apparently 2 nights ago he was cornered at Costco or something, and there's only 2 ways in and out of Costco. Okay, and a police officer signaled him to stop, and he ran. He gunned his car at him and smashed into their police cruiser. Then 3 officers, recognizing he was wanted for attempted murder, drew their pistols and fired 25 shots at him, and they missed. I'm like, what? How can you miss with 25 shots? And so he escaped from the Costco area. And then, like the next day or later that same day, they found him somewhere up in Havik, North Kohala, at a Minute Mart and Aloha Gas or something like that. And they shot at him again, and they missed. And he ran into the bush, into the. It's not jungle up there, it's more like it's not jungly. Well, I'll show you a picture of it actually, from the helicopter searching. Let's see if I can find this story. Local. And again, sorry for, got another story after this. That's a real winner. Where is he? Yeah. Loved one plead for shooting suspect safe return. Well, maybe that looks, there's pine trees. I've never heard of a jungle with pine trees, so it's more foresty than jungly compared to like up on the volcano. Let me hit the screen share the story. So the thing is, the reason the police can't shoot straight. So can you guys see this helicopter? Hopefully that's. Hopefully my audio is still working. So here's a picture of the guy. His family is saying, please don't shoot him. He's really a nice guy, I guess, except for when he goes around shooting people. They said he has a problem with alcohol, but I think his girlfriend said that he's really a nice guy when he's sober. And I was like, okay, when's the last time he was sober? Yeah, this is what she says here. Walter's a really, really wonderful person when he's sober. Okay. They went to Monica State Park on a potential sighting, which is where I usually go to take target practice, but it's a hunting area. And the problem is that there's really no legal place for the police to go shoot and do target practice. And so marksmanship is a perishable skill if you don't practice it, you're not going to be accurate. Which is apparently, if they fired 25 shots and missed, it was at 2 in the morning. But the area is well lit at night. I mean, that whole street has lighting. So here it says, the search for Gomes began Wednesday evening after a woman turned up at Kona Community Hospital with a single gunshot wound. Police originally counted the suspect at 2:05 a.m. Thursday in a vehicle near Costco, where the 41-year-old refused verbal commands from officers and drove his vehicle towards police, striking a police vehicle. 3 officers discharged their weapons at the scene. An earlier story said they fired 25 shots. That's not in this one. He was later spotted in North Kohala, where officers chased his vehicle, leaving the Minute Stop and Ohana Fuels. Okay, that's what it was. It wasn't Aloha Gas. It was Ohana Fuels. Ohana means family in Hawaii. And then he basically, in 2 separate incidents, officers again opened fire on Gomes and missed while he was fleeing arrest in Hawaii, which is that's the northern part of the island. Following the chase from the Minute Stop, Gomes disappeared on foot into the North Kohala brush. He has not been seen since Thursday afternoon after police shot at him as he drove away from the gas station. And again, a half a mile down the road on Okanipule Highway by Old Camp 17 Road, where he crashed into a police cruiser. He crashed into 2 police cruisers? Yeah. So, according to the hunting rules, okay, the cops all have Glock 17s now. They upgraded from the old revolver police chiefs. And I hope my panelists can still talk. I don't know. Had a really strange start off to this hangout. And anyway, it's just, so according to the hunting rules, you can't shoot. It's illegal to shoot anything except a hunting caliber weapon, and 9mm doesn't qualify as a hunting caliber. So there's one place that's where, I mean, people usually go shooting at Manukau, but if there's no place for them to regularly go and practice. So maybe they were qualified many years ago on the mainland or someplace on Oahu, but there's no place really to shoot around here regularly that's at all convenient or accessible. So I guess they just can't shoot anymore. They haven't been practicing, and I mean, it seems like you could literally stand in front of them, and because this murder suspect just keeps crashing into police cars and driving right by them. And no matter how many rounds they shoot at them, they always miss. So I would have to say the number one threat on the Big Island is cops that can't shoot straight, because anti-gun control and gun control policies just have not, over the decades. There is no official place for regular people who just want to go target shooting to go shoot. Not even the police, because guns are bad, right? So the whole gun control thing. It's just, I mean, what if they don't? They need to requalify the whole police force on the Big Island to make sure that they can shoot straight. And if they can't, then they just need to be disarmed. I mean, give them some pepper spray, or I mean, if they know how to use a baton, that's okay. But if you're going to carry a gun, you need to be able to shoot straight and hit your target. I mean, if 3 cops discharge 25 rounds at a fleeing attempted murder suspect and they can't stop him or hit him, and it happens, like he crashes into another police car and it happens again, I mean, he could literally just stand in front of the cops and go, make thumb his nose at him, and then say, haha, you can't hit me, and then just keep going. So anyway, but there's a picture of the bush he disappeared into, and the loved one. The headline says, "Loved ones plead for Shooting suspect safe return. Well, apparently being shot by the police is not a likely outcome because they can't hit a barn if they're standing 10 feet away from it. And anyway, so while trying to disarm the population, they just basically effectively disarm the police because there's no place for them to practice. I mean, they're supposed to know how to shoot. I mean, anybody that carries a gun is supposed to know how to shoot, and especially a police officer. And they're supposed to be able to hit their target, and they're supposed to be requalified on a regular basis. And as far as I'm concerned, the entire police force in Kona just failed dramatically. Right, so,
can I make a ridiculous
fugitive suspect is on the loose, and I think your advice, the advice they gave out was don't stop, pick up hitchhikers in Kohala because it might be this guy. So anyway, on other news, all right, finally the Mueller probe has ended, and it turns out it was all bullshit. Is anybody surprised by that one? Stop that screen share. All right. Well, I don't know if Squib and Dusty are still with me, but I'm going to keep going until somebody else wants to talk, or if they're able to. I see 2 mutes on, so no, Squib was just driving home, and we had a really difficult technical startup. So hope everybody's still out there, or 1 or 2 of you are. Yeah, my pretty face is missing you. Sorry about that. Boy. Oh, yes. What was outside? The other news. I need to put that up real quick if I can find it. And it's important news. In spite of the whole thing with the Mueller report, basically, you know, the whole Russian thing was bullshit. I mean, that's basically what the report should say. The summary should say it was bullshit, and that's it. They should just give a report that's saying it's all bullshit. The other part of the news is that the Russians have landed, but not where you think. Excuse me. Put out I got a picture of the Russians landing. I can dig it up. And the Russians were making a big deal of it because they posted it on their propaganda website, Zero Hedge. Yeah, Avenatti is going to Avenatti that. Hang on. Sorry about that. So Stormy Daniels' lawyer tried to extort Nike for, allegedly tried to extort Nike for 20 million or something like that. And he's being charged for that. All right, yeah, lawyers think in wearing a suit and tie, they could pretty much do anything. I've run into that here. And it's all just covered by somehow the fact that they're a lawyer. But apparently not. So Avenatti's in big trouble, but let's see. Navy ready to burn boats with new laser weapon? All right, let's see. Is that still up? Come on. All right. Basically, the Russians have landed in Venezuela, is where they've landed. Are we running out of gold? No, you're not running out of gold. The world is not running out of food either. It's just in all the wrong places. Apparently, a lot of it's underwater. I was hoping to get Dusty to talk about that. Venezuela deploys S-300 missiles following Russian troop arrival. That's not good. Here it is. Russian troops aid arrive in Venezuela. All right. So here's the Twitter page. Let me do another screen share. Okay, so there's about 99 Russian special forces people got off the plane. This is a Russian airliner, I guess. And again, this is Zero Hedge is basically a Russian website. Okay, so it's like this is just following the enemy propaganda. If they're going to put their troops down, well, all right, back to Zero Hedge. So here they are at the airport. Apparently their ship, that they had a cargo ship land, or not land, dock. Ships don't land, they dock. And to drop off all their gear, which I guess included S-300 anti-aircraft missiles. I guess they couldn't afford the S-400s. So the Russians have landed in Venezuela, and obviously, what did Putin say here? Let's see. Moscow will not tolerate American military intervention to topple the Venezuelan government with whom it is allied. Well, I don't think 99 Russians are really going to scare anybody. At least they're not going to scare the U.S. military. They might scare me, but they're not going to scare the U.S. military. Let's see. One of the Russians, I guess, said bluntly, quote, "We assume that Washington treats our priorities seriously, our approach and warnings," unquote. I can't pronounce this guy's Russian name because I don't know how to say too much. I know vodka means little water, but I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. Basically, the Russians, are, I don't know, that it's maybe they've never heard of the Monroe Doctrine, or they just don't. Who knows what they're thinking? I mean, really, who cares if we want to invade? It's just, I don't know if it's really worth it. I think Russia has a lot of money at stake in Venezuela because they've lent them so much money, and so does China. So, and it does have the world's largest oil reserves, which right now doesn't seem to make much difference because it's not worth what it used to be. And I think a Corsair like a year. Corsair trainers or preppers. He did a video about Venezuela, and I put that old the video from about a year ago. We had it on the show of the moped group of moped people attacking a sugar delivery truck. They firebombed the cab, and basically, it was filmed by two Venezuelan guys in a car behind the motorcycle gangs who were just witnessing, and they apparently what they were saying in Spanish, or actually it would be Brazilian Portuguese, which is probably why his Spanish friend, who we tried to get to translate it, it's not the same as Spanish, Brazilian Portuguese. So anyway, I mean, I know Tabian, that's about it. But what they were saying was we should call somebody when the cab of the truck was being firebombed, and they realized that there was nobody really. There's no authority to call. Yes, basically they're all they don't trust the police. They don't trust the military. There's nobody to call. Who are you going to call? So that country is really screwed up. I was going to talk about some other stuff, but yeah. So the Russians, that'd be like a threat down. I wanted to talk about the whole thing with all the underwater flooding with all the grain and soybean storage that's now underwater because of flooding in the Midwest, I think it is. But I know there's so much soybeans and grain in storage around the country that 2 or 3 states being flooded out, even completely. I mean, there's still storage. It's like, I think we just sent like a tanker full of soybeans to China, and one of those shipping container tankers can hold a hell of a lot of soybeans. I don't know exactly how much, but if there's a food crisis, it won't be because there's not enough food. At least that's my takeaway from the whole thing. It'll be because economy, politics, shipping, fuel. It'll be for a number of reasons that the food won't get to the people. But so there could be a food crisis, but won't be because there's not enough food. It'll just be in all the wrong places, instead of where people who need it can buy it, for lots of reasons: politics, fuel, economy, grid, infrastructure, you name it. What other threat downs? I don't know. It's been a crazy week. It's really funny. I have spent so little money on anything this month other than food. It's been like my total expenditures. If you look at my credit card statement, it's like Safeway, Walmart, Safeway, Walmart, Safeway, Walmart. I've got like a Bushcraft shirt and one LED replacement battery or upgrade, not battery, light bulb. It's not for my angular flashlight, and I'd show it to you, but the camera's not working with the weird start we had for this show. But it's a lot brighter. It looks like if you put it against the wall, it looks like a 0. There's a dark spot right in the middle of it looks like a big O instead of like a solid color or light like the incandescent bulb. So, but it's a lot brighter. So I think I'm going to get another one. This was I bought just one off of Amazon to test it. It's just a Night Eyes replacement, and I used it in this angular flashlight. So I'm not sure if that 0 is. I'm not sure why the dark spot is right in the middle of this LED. But when I put it against the wall, but I mean, looking at it, there's no dark spot. If you look at it, you'll be blinded. But it's only 74 lumens, but with the parabolic dish thing in the angular flashlight, it comes off as pretty bright. So I think it was a good upgrade for an emergency flashlight to go from, I guess, 15 from the incandescent that came with it to a 74. But yeah, I have not been spending any money on anything really except food. And there's been a lot of videos a lot of big prepping channels are making about stockpiling up on food. But again, it'll be, if there's a problem if there's a food crisis, it'll be because there's some other kind of crisis, economic, political. If people can't get food, it'll be, the just-in-time delivery system. We had a coronal mass ejection that was headed in that general direction of Earth that was supposed to hit, I think, Saturday or Sunday. But I didn't hear much about the impact. So it may not have been too devastating. Let's see. So the sun, I don't know. There was one of the subscribers seemed to be worried about the Cascadian subversion zone, and which that was a threat worth talking about. Yes, it's imminent. It's an imminent threat, but it's an imminent threat from a geological standpoint. It's an imminent geological threat, subversion zone, and there would be about 5 hours warning for a tidal wave that started up by Seattle to hit Hawaii. But geologically imminent means that it could be several decades away or several centuries away, and that would still be geologically imminent. But from a human standpoint, there's no way that it's not imminent. So people, you pretty much don't worry about it. So it did strike me as strange as somebody said, "I'm throwing my AR in the car and my bug out bag." So, really? Well, don't tell anybody, or they'll just go to your car and take it, because it's just geological imminent threat is worth knowing about, but it's not worth like loading all your stuff into the car. I did think, if I had a 5 hours warning, and the thing is that it would be such a big tidal wave. If I don't know, I haven't looked at it. I don't know if the Kona coast is even facing the right direction, but apparently like 300 years ago, there was a tidal wave that hit Japan from the Cascadian subversion fault, which is basically right outside Seattle. So on the West Coast, that would be a threat because the seismic energy would be almost instant. And you're talking about an over 9 point whatever, something over 9.0 on the Richter scale. But yeah, the tidal wave could be, well, in order to even get to the bottom of my driveway, it would have to be 100 feet high just to get to the bottom of the condominium, and I'm like on the top floor. So, but if I had 5 hours, I don't, it'd be like, how fast can I just carry all my preps down to my Blazer, load it up, and get the hell out of here to higher ground? I mean, if it was 200 feet high, that would be a problem. And we're talking about, that would be a massive tidal wave. And so I'm not even sure that Kona is pointed in the right direction, is in a direct line with Seattle anyway. But 300 years ago, Japan got hit by something from the Cascadian subversion zone. So that's basically when one land plate goes under another, and they kind of stress together, and then the stress is relieved. One of the plates goes pop or ping, and they have a very large movement. And so anyway, that's another Threatdown thing. But it's not like something like geological imminence is just, anyway. Economic problems. Well, yeah, debt clock, the debt bomb, who knows when that's going to go off. China apparently bought, Italy sold itself to China or something because they're so broke. And now China's negotiating with France to do like another deal with one of their, I don't know, Silk Road deals. I don't know what they're doing, but it's got everybody all. And it basically, I think Europe, it will be a big problem, like especially Brexit, because if and when Brexit actually happens, at some point, Britain is not going to want to be a vassal state anymore, which it is right now. It's a vassal state to the bureaucrats in Brussels, and at some point they're just going to get. But for right now, they're perfectly fine beating up Theresa May instead, and that's like a job that nobody wants right now as prime minister. Who wants to take over from Theresa May and be put in charge of like destroying Europe? Because if Britain leaves, the EU will fail. If Britain stays, the EU will fail. It's a no-win situation because Europe will just fail. There's a debt bomb. They're selling their countries to China. It's like, and they want to punish Britain for daring to leave when they all of them want to leave, but not the elite politicians on top. They somehow think that magically their elitist philosophies and socialist ideologies will somehow work. although they never have in the history of the world. So, but it's like there's no good solution. So it's like nobody wants to take. They all want to get rid of May, and the problem is it's like nobody wants to take her place. I mean, who wants to? It's like being put in charge of the Titanic after it already hit an iceberg. What's the point? I mean, they probably should have joined the EU in the first place, and now they can't get out, and the ship has already hit an iceberg and it's going down. And the problem is the world is interconnected, and they're going to take down all the rest of the world with them. So, I mean, it's a good idea to keep prepping and all and stuff. Just don't go into debt doing it. So be like me, be cheap. Don't spend any money on anything except food. And like, maybe all I bought this month, like I said, was one LED light bulb and a shirt, a bushcraft shirt. I could go. Apparently, you could just jump into the bush and you won't have to worry about any authorities ever finding you, because there's at least not on this island. And if they do, they can't shoot straight either. Anyway. All right, I'm going to go look in the externals because my panelists aren't talking. Maybe my system is down again. I don't even know if I'm still broadcasting or just babbling on endlessly at this point. So, let's see if I can find the external. There it is. Yeah, Oklahoma has been, I'm still alive. Great. I'm glad Oklahoma is still doing okay. I mean, I know I know being sick can hurt. A lot of my friends have just been friends of my family. It's not just you, Oklahoma. A lot of people have been having issues of one kind or another. One friend of our family had a stroke and has she's not like all there, or her mental capacity isn't what it used to be. And I'm not going to mention any names about that one. But we've known them forever. And she was an incredibly brilliant lady. And love her to pieces, love that whole family to pieces. But there's no, when you have to fight to keep your health and just keep your mind working, or it just stops because of a stroke. It's like, so I'm dealing with my blood pressure issue, so I don't have one of those. I had my steel cut oats for breakfast. It's one of the food things I prep a lot of cans of steel cut oats. I think they're pretty good. They don't have a long shelf life, as far as you can't just buy like 100 pounds of steel, but I bought a few cans of it. They're vacuum sealed, but they do have a shelf life. So, but I eat those because steel cut oats, I've just learned they lower my blood pressure. I don't know if it's the beta glucans or what, but when I have oatmeal for breakfast, the steel cut oats, I have the McCann's Irish steel cut oats, and they lower my blood pressure. I check my blood pressure after I eat oatmeal, check it an hour or two later, and it's down 20 points or something like that from where it was before. So it works better than my meds. So let's see. But I'd say keeping up your health is really important, a prepping thing, because a lot of people are just dealing with medical issues. And it's not just me. Oh, funeral tomorrow, Oklahoma. Well, I'm not going to. I have a lot of funeral jokes, but I won't make them. Yeah, those are always difficult because you you definitely, it's not just that you lost a friend. I mean, we're all mortal. You dealing with your own mortality is not always a fun thing to do, and it's not easy. But we are all mortal. So I guess just enjoy the time you're here and love those people, care for those people that you love and that are in your life. If that's an important thing to do. Let's see. Yeah, it is what it is. So I do apologize again for the late start and the not having the video camera working and some hinky audio stuff. I'm not really sure why. It worked last week. I didn't really change anything. There may have been some system update that I didn't even know about. Hey, I just work here. Let's see. So what else? Threatdown. So let's see. We covered the economy. The Russians have landed. The police that can't shoot straight. Medical issues. Oh, I did text Oily a bit, and so yeah, her husband had some minor medical issue. It's always minor if it's somebody else. And it was a work accident, and involved one of his fingers. And they're dealing with that one. And it's just like almost nobody is just like perfectly healthy that I know. Everybody's going through their medical challenges, it seems. Let's see. So I would say that just generally Europe is going to be a threat to the rest of the world as far as just the economic stability of it. And we're all connected at the hip, so you can't just think just because it's over in Europe that if their banking system goes down or they have some major economic disruption that it's not going to affect anybody else. It will. Let's see. The whole thing with the border wall with the southern border. I think what's going on now is that the drug cartels in Mexico are basically intentionally flooding the border with immigrants so their drug mules can get through unnoticed, while the border patrols has their hands full with just tens of thousands of immigrant asylum seekers that there's just no room for any of them. Even they can't build any detention camps. It's like, but there's nothing they can do with them after they arrest them when they do catch them, because there's no place to put them. And they can only keep them for 20 days if there is a place to put them. So don't ask me, but it's like Congress is pretty much at a point of something I was trying to say last week. Is like, how do you determine who, if you swear an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, what if the Congress is the domestic enemy? I mean, because they seem to be intentionally sabotaging the country, sabotaging the borders, sabotaging the presidency, sabotaging the economy. I mean, anyway, I don't know. And the national debt has got to be up there with the there is no intention to ever pay it back. The only thing they are doing is paying the interest on the debt, and they have every intention of doing that because the bankers need the interest. just keep the doors open on the place. But we're over $22.1 trillion in debt and climbing, and that doesn't include unfunded pension liabilities. So, hey, it just pays to be a prepper, I think, or it will at some point, because I don't know how much longer this snowball is going to keep rolling downhill before it hits the bottom and just goes kapoof. Bus the illegals to sanctuary cities. Well, I don't know what to do about it, because there's no, if you want to live by the rule of law, I mean, if the Border Patrol is going to follow the law, then I mean they have to release them. They don't want to do it, but that's the law. They can only allow, some judge ruled in the Ninth Circuit ruled they can only keep them for 20 days. And so then they're automatically released. So they may as well just release them right away. They may as well release all the illegals and just focus on the drug mules. Because apparently, they're basically smuggling in heroin laced with fentanyl. And people are dying from that every day. I understand how addicting that stuff is, but the whole thing in China, the way China deals with drugs is because of the British Opium War against China back in what year was that? 1600s, 1500s. I'm sorry, I'm a little hazy on the years, but basically, when the Bank of England realized that silver was leaving London for China, because London people like to buy silks and spices from China, then they needed to turn the silver thing around. So they got the British Navy and military to enforce to prop up a bunch of drug dealers and sell opium to the Chinese people. And when they tried to revolt against the British for doing that, there was a whole war. And so in China, using drugs is considered treason, not just social issue. It's treason to use drugs like that. And so how they deal with it is they just take all the drug users, herd them into a stadium and shoot them one at a time, one bullet, one drug user, problem solved. It's just more cost effective that way. But in China, because there was a war that I think China lost against Britain, who was insisting on selling opium to Chinese people, because they could get silver out of China instead of sending it to China. So this was all a banking scheme. Ever since then, the price of silver has been manipulated. So, which brings us to the whole thing with all the manipulation. And anybody's been paying attention to the inverted yield curve, which was a big thing when the market went down Friday, I think, by a significant volume. And that's almost a chicken and the egg thing. But what the inverted yield curve basically means, there's like 100,000 videos on the internet, which you can just type inverted yield curve, and you get a quick education. But it's a pretty much 100% foolproof indicator of a recession. So all the fake news and fake numbers that people throw at you about how great the economy is, well, it's like I told you earlier about the whole thing with when Mueller actually did his investigation, spent $50 million or whatever it was, and 500 search warrants, and it turned out it was all bullshit. So it could be possible that the numbers they're feeding you are all bullshit as far as saying how great the economy is, because the inverted yield curve is pretty much almost 100% foolproof way of predicting a a recession historically. At least that's my understanding of it. If somebody has something else on that, or then let me know. I'm not an expert on it. I'm not an expert on anything. I'm just like trying to survive best I can. I think the Trump bump stock ban, going back to guns, which is the point of this show, the bump stock ban has been stayed. The Foreign Policy Coalition, I think their legal filing seems to have have worked, and there's a stay on the Trump bump stock ban, which is good news. I think the GOA filed one, and the FPC filed some papers, and haven't been following all the exact details on that, but I mean, I personally don't. I'm not into bump stocks myself, but I definitely don't want gun parts, or even something that's not a gun part, being banned or restricted or made as something that somebody bought that was said that the government said was legal, all of a sudden made retroactively a felony. That's just screwed up. I mean, if the government tells you it's legal and you buy it legally, and then they should be able to just say that no, it's not legal anymore. You are now a felon if you have this thing after you bought it legally. I mean, if you follow the law, it's like when the government doesn't follow the law, what the fuck do you do? And that was the thing about the show where I was ranting about repealing the Second Amendment, when the Hawaii legislature has this Senate Concurrent Resolution 42, I think, and it was like they can't go around repealing. I mean, they don't have the power to do that, but they can even, when you suggest that you're going to repeal the Bill of Rights, I mean, you lose all credibility as a human being. And not to mention as a sovereign, with any sovereignty, your claim to sovereignty just goes up in smoke. But anyway, as far as that goes, let's see. Just annex the U.S. border 6,000 miles south of where it is. No, I don't think we want to annex Mexico, because then we have a lot of people who just wouldn't even have to immigrate. I don't want to annex a narco state. That would be a bad idea. Mexico's a narco state. Then we'd have to go in there and fix it. It's like, if you go into a shop and if you break something, then you bought it. Well, you don't want to go into a shop where everything's already broken and then have to fix it all. I mean, look, regular people in Mexico, I've been there. I love it. I love them. They're great. But we can't deny that it's a narco state. And there's cartels and basically right now the cartels are in charge of the United States border. And annexing Mexico won't help. I mean, I think we have a military, and if it has to be used against the cartels, and so be it. But good luck getting Congress to declare a state of war against anything. So the most we could get is a presidential emergency, and I don't think that if like aliens landed from outer space and Trump declared an emergency, Congress would pass a resolution saying saying they're not illegal aliens, they're aliens from outer space, so we don't have any laws against that. Something. We did a show on how to fight invasion by aliens from outer space. I think, if I recall, it involved raiding the armories to get, because be the first person on your block with an alien weapon, and if they have any planetary atmosphere converters, those should be the primary targets of everybody. So they can't just convert the entire atmosphere to whatever to make it suitable for wherever they breathe. Planet formation. those things that the was in Aliens, that that whole compound. I forgot what they're called, but you know what I mean. The basically atmosphere conversion plants, nuclear powered. Anyway, all right. Well, this is about as much of a show as I can just do without my panelists talking. So, but I see some of them in the external. Hi, Vanessa. we had a really strange start to the show this week because, like, it was just the Hangouts weren't, the audio wasn't working, and then when we finally got it to work, I think everybody had gone to sleep or something. So let's see. I noticed some of the Digibyte went like up like 15% yesterday and then down 15% today. But that's one of the penny cryptos. I've been getting paid out in Dash on my Genesis mining account to my crypto wallets every day, a little bit. Not much, just a little bit. Let's see. Genesis has Dash back in stock, so you can buy. Yeah, I think there's a discount code called DashFan. If you have a Genesis mining account, you can get mining power for relatively Dash mining power for a big discount right now. If we're not into that, that's okay. Let's see. Silver, gold. It's like I'm really just hanging on to what I got and waiting for the manipulation to end, because they can just really literally control the price on the COMEX. And that's, I think, the same problem crypto is having, is that the derivative trading of this stuff is pretty much unregulated, uncontrollable. And I'm even talking about silver and gold. I think there was an article on Zero Hedge saying, are we running out of gold? No, we are nowhere near out of gold. There's plenty of gold. but what's the point? There's so much manipulation. If they can throw a $1 trillion of paper gold contracts onto the COMEX, and nobody's buying and selling gold. They're buying and selling paper, digital, not even paper, digital numbers. It's all being manipulated. And it's really being manipulated by the government. So, I'm just hanging on to what I got. I'm trying not to spend any ridiculous amounts of money on anything, really. I think I've got most of my prep squared away. Energy is still on my list. And there's a few more. There's a few things on my wish list. Night vision. Stuff like that. And, of course, the ultimate prepper compound in the jungle would be nice. But I'll just have to wait for this shit to hit the fan, and then I'll set one up then. Which it really, I hope it doesn't, because I really don't want to have to bug out into the jungle. I got to tell you. I like having a roof over my head. Silly me, right? And plumbing. That works. But I'm ready if it doesn't. I'm prepared if it doesn't, but if things go south. But let's hope somehow the whole fucking system keeps rolling on for however long I got left anyway on this globe, on this screwed up planet. I guess just everybody take care of yourself. I'm going to close the show out because it's been just, we had a really just technical issues at the start, and I guess we're still having technical issues, but look, I love all you guys, and I'm praying for those that are a little under the weather to heal up as quickly and speedily as possible. I know how tough it is dealing with pain. and but it will pass. It will. And I remember when I was in a hospital bed, and my dad had the exact same operation, and I asked, how did you get through this? I mean, I had no idea you went through that. How did you get through this? And he said, well, you're a tough guy, Steve. You'll make it through this. And it's like, yeah, but how did you? It's like, being, like, okay, I used to be able to bench press 300 pounds, but, they saw your chest in half, and then you can't do that anymore. Tough isn't how much you could bench or how strong you are. I mean, tough is being able to take the pain. And it wasn't easy. And it was a challenge, but I did make it through it. The pain is gone. But it wasn't fun. It was just, and there's like no way to avoid it. It's not, you can't run away from it. Guess there's some things in life you just can't run away from. And some things you can't, but anyway, y'all take care of each other. Love all you guys. Thanks for tuning into the show. Hopefully we can get all the audio bugs and all the technical problems we had worked out. Apologize for all that this week. It was a slow start. Maybe next week I can get the fucking camera to work. And of course, the whole thing with the Russians will still be having hearings in Congress about that shit. Where's my Russian quote? It's in here somewhere. Let's see. Oh, yeah, here it is.
Russians need to take us in one piece. That's why they're here now.
Right. So, yeah, freedom, responsibility is responsibility is the flip side. If the one side of the coin is freedom, then the other side is personal responsibility. That's definitely a true negotiator. See y'all next week. I hear the chopper.